The stars were quiet, cold, and endless. Alien patrol ships drifted across the edge of their empire, scanning the void for intruders. For centuries, no one had dared to cross this border without permission. It was safe, secure, untouchable. But then, one night in the deep dark, something appeared. At first it was only a shadow. No alarms, no warnings. Only a silent shape moving slowly out of the black. The alien sensors caught it, but the readings were strange. Too big for a cruiser, too sharp for a station, too alive for a machine. They zoomed in and the crew went cold. It was a ship, but not like any they had seen. Smooth black armor that swallowed starlight. Engines that made no sound, no heat, no signature. The scanners showed zero, as if it did not exist. Yet the crew saw it with their own eyes. A warship, massive and silent, just waiting at the edge of their space. The alien commander ordered his crew to stay calm. He thought maybe it was a ghost image, a trick of light. But then the ship moved. Not fast, not violent, just drifting with power too controlled. It was alive and it was watching. They called for backup. More patrol ships arrived, forming a circle around the intruder. But the warship did not react. No weapons raised, no shields, no message. It just floated, as if mocking them with silence. The aliens whispered, afraid to speak too loud, because silence felt like the warship was listening. Rumors began to spread across the fleet. Some said it was an abandoned relic. Some said it was a trap from another empire. But one voice whispered the word none wanted to hear. Human. The aliens froze. Humans were not supposed to have ships like this. Humans were weak, young, still crawling through the stars. Their fleets were small, their weapons outdated. They were known as stubborn, yes, but not dangerous. At least not dangerous like this. The commander ordered a probe. A small drone shot forward to scan the warship. But halfway across, the signal cut. One blink and the probe was gone. No explosion, no debris, no sound. Just gone. As if it had never existed. Fear spread like fire. The crew looked at their commander. But he had no answers. Another probe was sent. Again silence. The warship swallowed it whole without moving, without trying. The commander's hands shook. This was no trick, this was real. A single word was sent to the central command. Unknown. But already the fleet knew. Already the whispers grew louder. Humans, humans, humans. The warship shifted, slowly turning, its black hull gliding across starlight. It aimed its bow directly at the alien fleet. Every ship froze. Every heart stopped. Because in that one small movement it showed intent. It was not random, it was not broken. It was watching them, it was choosing. One alien ship tried to scan harder, breaking orders. The moment its beam touched the warship's surface, everything changed. The warship's lights flared once. A ripple of power moved across its hull like a living thing. And then the scanning ship went dark. Engines dead. Weapons cold. Crew screaming into silence. In seconds, a warship was turned into floating metal. Dead, useless, gone. The alien commander screamed for retreat. But retreat felt like defeat. His fleet hesitated, torn between fear and duty. The silent ship did not chase, did not fire. It simply waited, its black armor glowing with faint lines, like veins of fire hidden inside stone. Every alien who saw it knew. This was no ordinary machine. This was a warning. The patrol fleet scattered. But even as they fled, their eyes never left the shadow. Because in that silence, in that stillness, they felt something deeper than fear. They felt the weight of a predator. One that did not rush, one that did not roar. A predator that only needed to wait. And when it chose to strike, no one would survive. Across the empire, the story spread. Whispers in every station, every council, every command room. A ship that should not exist. A ghost machine at the edge of space. Some laughed. Some doubted. But in their voices was fear. Because all who saw it, all who survived, repeated the same word. Human. And in the silent dark, far from the noise of fleets and empires, the warship floated alone. cold, patient, and alive, waiting, always waiting, for the first to challenge it. The patrol fleet had run, but they had not escaped their fear. Every alien who had seen the silent human warship carried its shadow inside their minds. Reports were rushed to high command, filled with broken voices and half-finished words. None of them could explain what they had witnessed. Only one truth echoed through every channel. The humans built something impossible. The alien council gathered in their shining towers. Leaders from dozens of species sat in silence as the report was replayed. The frozen images of the human warship filled the chamber. A black shape that bent the light. A silent predator in the stars. Some scoffed, saying it was fake. Others trembled, knowing no one could invent such fear. The commander of the patrol fleet stood before them. His voice cracked as he spoke. He told them about the probes that vanished, about the cruiser that was shut down with a single pulse, about the way the warship only moved when it chose. It was not random, it was not broken, it was alive. Whispers grew louder. The humans were weak. How could they build this? They barely hold their own colonies. They cannot defy physics. But in every voice was doubt, because every empire in the galaxy had tried to break humanity, and every time humans refused to die. A council elder leaned forward, his eyes cold. He reminded them of old wars. He spoke of the first contact when humans had nothing but small fleets, how they fought with fire in their eyes, how they adapted faster than machines, how they survived battles they should have lost. The elder's words made the chamber fall silent. If they made this warship, then the galaxy is in danger. In hidden corners of the empire, fear grew. Merchants refused to travel near human borders. Commanders reassigned fleets far away. Even smugglers whispered about the black ghost that hunted the edge of space. Some claimed it was invincible. Others claimed it was cursed. But no one dared to laugh too loud, because deep down they believed. High Command decided to test the truth. A task force was formed, 50 ships strong. They would approach the silent warship, scan it, and return. The order was simple, but the crews were not. Fear spread through them like poison. Many wanted to desert. Many prayed in silence, because none of them wanted to be the first to stand in front of that shadow again. When the task force arrived, the warship was still there, unmoving, silent, waiting. Its black hull stretched across the stars like a wall. The alien ships formed ranks, weapons ready, shields high, but the warship did not move. It just watched. The commander of the task force ordered scans. Every beam, every sensor, every pulse was thrown at the warship. And once again, the void answered with silence. No data, no weakness, no clue. The warship gave nothing. And in that nothing, fear grew even stronger. A brave alien officer asked permission to hail the ship. His voice shook, but he believed perhaps the humans wanted peace. The commander hesitated, then agreed. A signal was sent, bright and clear. This is the Empire. Identify yourself. The signal echoed into the void. For long moments, nothing came. Then the warship spoke. The voice was human, deep and calm. Leave humanity alone, it said, or face the consequences. That was all. 7 words that shook the galaxy, because no one had heard such cold certainty in a voice before. The officer who sent the signal fainted in his chair. The commander froze, unable to reply, and in that silence, the warship turned slightly, its shadow covering the entire fleet. The task force pulled back, 50 ships retreating as fast as engines could burn. Not one dared to fire, not one dared to challenge, because every crew felt it. The warship could destroy them all in seconds, and yet it chose not to. That mercy was more terrifying than any weapon. Back in the council chambers, panic spread. The leaders argued, shouted, accused. Some wanted to attack Earth immediately. Some wanted to surrender before a war began. But the wisest among them only whispered one truth. Fear is already spreading, and fear is a weapon too. Across the galaxy the legend grew. Stories twisted and changed. Some said the warship was a machine with no crew. Others said it carried a human admiral who never died. Some even claimed it was built with forbidden technology, stolen from the stars themselves. Every version made the fear greater. Every whisper made humanity stronger. The aliens had always seen humans as small, fragile, desperate. But now they saw something else. Something hidden behind human eyes. A fire that refused to be broken. And now that fire had taken shape. A warship, silent and patient, waiting in the dark. And all the galaxy trembled. The galaxy waited, but the warship did not move. It stayed silent at the edge of alien space, like a shadow carved into the stars. Fleets watched it, stations tracked it, spies whispered about it. Yet the ship remained still, patient, alive, and that silence was worse than any attack. Alien commanders argued day and night. Some wanted to destroy it before it grew stronger. Others feared even trying. For every time a fleet drew close, ships would vanish. Not in fire, not in wreckage, just gone, erased from the void. It was as if the warship reached out with invisible hands and snuffed them away. The Council of the Empire demanded answers. What did humans want? Why did they build such a monster? Was it a weapon? Was it a shield? Was it a warning? None could say, until the day the warship spoke again. It began with silence, a deep pulse across subspace, a vibration felt in every ship and station nearby. Then a voice broke through, strong and human. "This is humanity's last warning," the voice said. "Leave us alone, or face the consequences." Only one sentence, but it echoed across the stars, translated into 100 alien tongues, broadcast through intercepted channels. Every officer, every leader, every smuggler heard it, and fear spread like fire through dry grass. The message was clear. Humans were not asking, they were demanding. It was not a cry for help. It was a command, and no empire was ready to obey a young, fragile species. But deep down, many already knew. The warship could enforce every word. An alien admiral gathered a fleet to test the threat. Hundreds of ships, fast and armed with the best weapons in the empire. They advanced toward the human warship, their voices filled with pride, their minds filled with fear. They told themselves it was just one ship, but their hearts whispered it was death. When they arrived, the warship drifted, silent and still. It did not attack, it did not flee. It simply turned, facing the armada. The admiral gave the order and weapons fired. Beams of light, torpedoes of plasma, missiles of steel. The void blazed with fire, but none touched the warship. The human ship shimmered, its hull bending light and space. Energy beams curved away. Missiles blinked into nothing. Plasma washed like water against an invisible wall. The admiral shouted for more fire, but it was useless. Every weapon failed. Every strike vanished. The warship was untouchable. Then it answered, a single flash from its bow, a beam so thin it looked harmless. But when it passed, a dozen alien cruisers were gone. No wreckage, no fire, just empty space where they had stood. The admiral screamed, panic tearing through the fleet. Ships scattered, breaking formation. The warship fired again. One shot, another group gone. Calm, precise, merciless. The survivors fled, engines burning, fear screaming in their hearts. They left their dead behind, though there were no bodies. They left their pride behind, though it was already broken. And as they ran, the warship did not chase. It only watched, silent and dark, its voice echoing again. This is your final chance. Across the galaxy, the story spread. The admiral's shame, the fleet's destruction, the warship's calm warning. Every empire heard it, every council debated it, but no one could explain it. How did humans break the laws of physics? How did they build a ship that erased entire fleets with a whisper of power? And why did they wait? Why did they not strike first? That mystery grew more dangerous than the ship itself. Some aliens whispered it was not a machine at all, that it was alive, born from human sacrifice. Others claimed it carried a weapon stolen from the birth of the universe. Some even said the ship itself was Earth, that humanity had turned their world into a warship. The legends grew, each one darker, each one more terrifying. But the truth was simpler and more frightening. Humans had spoken, and their voice carried the weight of certainty. They would not bow, they would not break. They had built something beyond law, beyond reason, beyond fear. And now that creation guarded their place in the stars. The first message had been given. Clear, strong, undeniable. The galaxy could laugh, deny, or prepare for war. But none could forget the sound of that human voice. Calm, unshaken, deadly, leave us alone, or face the consequences. And in the endless dark, the warship waited again. Silent, patient, unblinking, a shadow carved into the void. A warning that the galaxy would never forget. The galaxy could no longer sit in silence. The first message had spread like wildfire, carried by frightened fleets and desperate whispers. Humans had spoken with a voice stronger than any weapon, and their warship had shown that it could erase fleets as easily as shadows vanish before the sun. The alien empires knew something had to be done. They could not allow a single human ship to control their fear, so they gathered their strength. From across star systems, cruisers and battleships poured into one place. Hundreds became thousands, a sea of steel and fire, the largest fleet assembled in living memory. Every empire contributed not out of unity, but out of terror. They feared each other less than they feared the silent warship. In the command ship at the heart of the fleet, admirals from rival species stood side by side, their faces hard, their voices sharp. This human creation must be destroyed, they declared, or soon no empire will remain free. But even as they spoke with fire, their eyes betrayed doubt, because they remembered the fleets already erased, the cruisers already vanished. Still, pride and fear forced their hand. The order was given. The battle would begin. The human warship waited at the edge of space, still silent, still patient. As the alien armada approached, the stars themselves seemed to shudder. Engines lit the void with endless light, weapons charged with enough power to shatter moons. It was the greatest display of force the galaxy had ever seen. And yet, the warship did not move. The first strike came like a storm, a wave of plasma, missiles, beams, and energy blasts. The sky burned with fire brighter than any star. The void roared with destruction. But when the smoke cleared, the warship still floated, untouched. Its black hull gleamed as if the fire had never touched it. Alien crews froze, terror clawing at their throats. Their most powerful weapons had failed. The warship answered, not with rage, not with chaos, but with calm precision. A single beam flickered across the darkness, and a line of alien destroyers simply ceased to exist. One moment they were there, the next they were gone. No debris, no flame, only silence. Panic tore through the armada. Admirals shouted, captains screamed, crews begged their gods. But the warship did not chase their fear. It moved slowly, turning its bow toward the heart of the fleet. Its engines whispered with power that bent reality. Every alien who looked upon it felt the same truth. This was no battle, this was judgment. The armada tried again. Formations shifted, new weapons deployed. Massive carriers released swarms of drones. Frigates fired experimental torpedoes said to cut through time itself. But it was useless. The warship moved like a phantom. Drones vanished. Torpedoes fell dead. Energy beams bent away as if space itself obeyed the human ship. Every defense collapsed, every strike failed. The galaxy's greatest armada was powerless. The warship's reply was merciless. Its hull shimmered, lines of light crawling across its black skin like veins of fire. From those lines came waves of destruction. Whole squadrons blinked out of existence. Capital ships split in silence. Their crews erased before they could even scream. One human ship against thousands. And the thousands were losing. On the command bridge of the alien fleet, admirals stared in horror. Some screamed to retreat, others demanded they fight to the last. But deep down they all knew, this was not a war, this was a lesson. The humans had sent a warning, and the galaxy had ignored it. Now they paid the price. The warship's voice echoed again, calm and cold. This is survival, it said. We will not kneel again. The words cut deeper than any weapon, because they carried truth. Humans had been broken, enslaved, humiliated across history, but they had risen, they had endured, and now they had forged something beyond the reach of empires. As the battle raged, alien ships fled in every direction. Some were destroyed as they turned. Others vanished into hyperspace, carrying only fear back to their worlds. The armada collapsed. The greatest gathering of strength the galaxy had ever seen was shattered by one human creation. And when the last ship fled, the warship did not chase. It did not gloat, it did not speak. It simply turned, drifting back into the shadows of deep space. The silence it left behind was louder than any victory cry, because the galaxy now understood. The humans did not need numbers. They did not need allies. They needed only their will. And one warship was enough to break the galaxy. Across alien worlds, fear became legend. Children whispered of the ghost ship. Soldiers refused to face the humans again. Leaders argued, but none could deny the truth. The warship had survived the greatest armada. It had defied every law, every expectation, every empire, and it had done so with calm certainty. The battle was over, but the war had only begun, because the galaxy would never forget the day the humans stood alone, and the day their warship proved stronger than them all. The galaxy could not forget the battle. One human warship had faced thousands and survived. Not only survived, but destroyed fleets with power no science could explain. The alien empires whispered in shame and fear, and soon rumors began to grow. Whispers turned into stories. Stories turned into legends, until truth and fear became one. No one could understand the ship. Every scan had failed, every weapon had missed. It moved with the silence of death and struck with the certainty of judgment. What was it? How was it built? Who commanded it? No empire had answers, so they filled the void with rumors. Some said the warship was alive. Not a machine, not a vessel, but a living creature born from human will. They said its black armor was skin, its glowing veins were blood, and its voice was the voice of humanity itself. Others whispered darker stories, that humans had sacrificed millions to create it, that it was fueled by the souls of their dead, that every time it fired, it consumed the memory of a human life, a weapon of blood and grief, forged in shadows. Still others believed it was not human at all, that humans had found something forbidden in the dark between galaxies, a relic from the first age of creation, and claimed it as their own. Some even said humans had made a pact with death itself, and the warship was the price, a guardian that would never rest, never stop, until the stars themselves went dark. The alien councils tried to silence these stories, but the more they tried, the more the legends spread. In markets, in taverns, in war camps, whispers grew louder. The human warship had become more than a ship. It had become a symbol, a nightmare, a warning. Inside human space, the truth was guarded with silence. No broadcast, no explanation. The warship did not parade its victories. It did not seek glory. It simply waited, hidden in the void. The silence was louder than words, and that silence drove the galaxy mad. In secret meetings, alien scientists gathered. They replayed every image, every fragment of battle. They studied the way light bent around its hull, the way weapons vanished before touching its skin, and they came to one impossible conclusion. The warship was breaking the laws of physics, not bending, not resisting, but breaking. Its existence should not be possible, and yet it was. The leaders of empires trembled at this thought. If humans had truly created something that ignored the laws of the universe, then what else could they do? If one ship could erase fleets, what could 10 do? What could 100 do? The fear became unbearable. Some called for immediate war. Others begged for peace. But none could ignore the truth. The humans had changed everything. In the quiet corners of the galaxy, soldiers whispered another story. That the ship was not built in shipyards, but grown. That deep under the surface of Earth, in caverns older than history, the humans had grown the warship like a seed, feeding it with their pain, their rage, their endless will to survive, until it rose from the ground, alive and ready for war. Others swore they saw shapes inside its black armor, faces pressed against the hull, screaming silently, the souls of those lost in alien wars, now bound to the warship, guiding it, protecting humanity. And every time the ship destroyed an alien fleet, it whispered their names into the stars. But the truth, whatever it was, never left human lips. And that silence was more dangerous than any weapon, because the galaxy did not fear what they knew. They feared what they could not understand. Alien fleets avoided human borders now. Merchants whispered that even drifting too close to Earth space could call the shadow. Smugglers swore they saw it following them in deep space, silent, patient, watching, and when they blinked it was gone. But the fear stayed. The legend grew. The human warship was no longer a story. It was a warning carried on every world, a shadow in every dream. Children played games of hiding from it. Soldiers swore oaths never to face it. Even rulers, proud and cruel, prayed in secret that it would never come for them. And still the warship waited, this black hull drifting through the stars. Silent, endless, impossible. The galaxy searched for answers, but found only fear. And in that fear the humans had already won. For the greatest weapon was not the warship's beam, not its impossible armor, not its power to erase fleets. The greatest weapon was the secret, the unanswered question that haunted every mind. What is it? And how far will the humans go? The galaxy whispered of the warship, but few asked the question that mattered most. Why had the humans built it? Why had they chosen to defy the universe itself? The answer lay not in power, but in pain. For centuries, humanity had suffered. They were the youngest race among the stars, fragile and unprepared. When the empires found Earth, they laughed. They saw weak ships, primitive weapons, and people who still dreamed of the sky. And they decided humans would never rise. So they crushed them. Alien fleets burned colonies. They enslaved whole cities. They used human labor to fuel their wars. They treated humanity as tools, disposable, replaceable, forgotten. But humans remembered. Every broken colony, every lost child, every cry in the dark. They carried those scars across generations. Until the pain became something greater. Humans learned. They adapted. Every defeat was a lesson. Every betrayal was a seed. And every scar was carved into their will. The empires thought they were breaking humanity, but they were forging it instead. Deep in the silence of hidden worlds, humans began to build in secret. Not fleets, not armies. One ship, one creation that would carry all their grief, all their rage, all their hope. A weapon not of conquest, but of survival. A ship that would say to the galaxy, never again. The process was long, hidden across centuries. Pieces built on forgotten moons. Engines forged in secret labs. Armor designed with stolen technology and human genius. Every part was impossible. Every design broke rules. But humans pushed further. Because rules had never saved them, and mercy had never been given. The ship rose at last, a black shadow against the stars, born not in celebration, but in silence. Its creators did not cheer, they did not boast. They only watched with cold eyes, for they knew what it meant. It was not glory, it was survival. When the ship was complete, the humans gave it a purpose. Not to conquer, not to expand, but to protect. To stand where no one else would stand, to be the answer to every cry that had once been ignored. And so it was sent into the dark, alone, silent, waiting. When it spoke for the first time, Its words carried the weight of every scar. Leave humanity alone, or face the consequences. Simple but unbreakable, because those words were not just a warning. They were a promise built from the ashes of every broken colony. A promise fueled by the tears of every enslaved child. A promise written in fire and blood. The galaxy heard those words and trembled, but humans heard them too, and for the first time they stood tall. No longer the weak, no longer the broken. They had endured the storm, and now they were the storm. The warship was not just a machine. It was their memory. It was their will. It was the shape of every voice that had cried out and been silenced. It was the shape of every dream that had been torn apart, now reforged, now unbroken, and when it moved, it carried all of humanity with it. Alien leaders called the warship a monster, but humans called it a guardian, a blade that would cut down anyone who tried to enslave them again, a shield that would stand against every empire that thought them weak. It was not conquest, it was defiance. It was not victory, it was survival. Inside the warship, silence ruled. No broadcast of heroes, no names, no faces, because the warship was more than the humans who crewed it. It was all of humanity together. One will, one stand. Every person, every child, every dream, carried in its black hull, carried in its endless silence. The galaxy could not understand this. To them, power was pride. To humans, power was survival. The warship did not demand fear. It demanded respect, and it would take it. One way or another, the humans had been broken, but they had risen. They had been enslaved, but they had escaped. They had been mocked, but they had endured. And now, with their warship in the dark, they stood unshaken. This was not revenge alone. This was not anger alone. This was the truth of their existence. They would never kneel again. And as the galaxy trembled, the humans whispered a vow. Never again would they be prey. Never again would they be slaves. Never again would they bow. For now they had their guardian, their warship, their stand. The battle was over, but the silence it left behind was louder than war. The alien empires who once ruled without fear now whispered in dread. The humans had risen, and their warship had shown the galaxy a truth that could not be ignored. One ship, one voice, one stand, and the stars themselves trembled. But the warship did not stay to claim victory. It did not conquer planets, it did not burn cities. It simply turned away, its black hull vanishing into the endless dark. The greatest weapon the galaxy had ever seen did not seek power. It sought only silence. And in that silence, legends were born. Across alien worlds, the stories grew. Some said the warship was still at the border, waiting. Others swore it had vanished into another dimension, watching from the shadows. Smugglers whispered they had seen it in deep space, a silent shadow drifting beside their ships, and when they blinked, it was gone. Merchants claimed entire fleets disappeared after crossing near human space. They swore the warship had taken them. No wreckage, no survivors, only silence. The fear became a weapon sharper than any blade. Armies refused to march near Earth. Fleets avoided human trade routes. Commanders hesitated before giving orders, because somewhere in the back of their minds, they all feared the same thing, that the black warship would appear from the void, that it would turn its silent bow toward them, and that would be the last thing they ever saw. The galaxy had fought to erase humanity once, but now they built walls around them, not to keep humans in, but to keep themselves safe. And humans stood taller than ever. For the first time in history, they were not prey. They were not slaves. They were not weak. They were the fire that no empire could put out. On Earth, silence ruled as well. There were no celebrations, no parades. The warship's victory was not a triumph. It was a message the humans carried in their hearts, that they had survived the worst the galaxy could give, and now they had earned the right to exist. Children grew up hearing the legend. They did not play at being soldiers, they played at being the warship. They whispered the words, "Leave humanity alone, or face the consequences. And their voices carried the same fire, for every generation understood the truth. The warship was not just a machine. It was them, all of them. In alien taverns, drunken voices argued about its nature. Some swore it was made from forbidden science. Others swore it was alive, a guardian born from human blood. And some whispered the darkest tale of all, that it was not the only one, that in the silence of human space, more warships were waiting, silent, patient, hidden, and when the time came, the galaxy would face them all. No one knew the truth, and that mystery was the sharpest edge of all, because a secret can grow larger than fact. A shadow can become larger than the light, and the warship had become a shadow that covered the stars. For centuries, empires had laughed at humans, but now they feared their name. Every leader spoke the word human with caution. Every soldier trembled at the thought of facing them, and every citizen carried the legend in their heart. The legend of the warship that defied every law. The galaxy had been changed forever, not by conquest, not by empire, but by one truth carved into the stars. That humanity would never kneel again. That humanity would fight until the last breath. That humanity had built a guardian no power could break. And in the endless dark, the warship drifted still, silent, patient, eternal, watching the stars, waiting for the next challenge, waiting for the next empire that dared to test humanity. It did not speak, it did not move, but its presence was enough, because the galaxy remembered. The galaxy would always remember, and so the legend began. The story told in whispers across 1,000 worlds. The shadow feared in every council. The warning carved into the heart of the stars. The human warship that defied every law. Silent, unbroken, eternal. A ghost in the void. A guardian in the dark. A promise that humanity would stand forever